Ooh, a piece of candy.
These boxes are usually very long because they have to fit the tubing in here, and the tubings, you know, those are pretty long stents. So that's why it's so awkwardly shaped. I honestly have no idea what's in here. I just kind of told them that I needed a bunch of stuff, and I kind of threw some parts at them, but I don't really know what I actually ordered. I think I ordered everything I need, but we'll find out. Okay, this is a CPU block. I'm actually really excited to see what this looks like here. Oh, and it's completely sealed. You gotta open it like a chip bag. Oh, no, that is a thing of beauty. Check out how sexy that acrylic block is there. D5 pump, that's important. What is this? Ooh, this is a 1080 Ti Founders acrylic block. Too bad I don't have a 1080 Ti on hand. Actually, both of mine are, they had to be RMA'd because both of them stopped working. I'll explain that later, but it's not really important for this video. We have here a dual single D5 top upgrade kit. I'm assuming this is the reservoir. Okay, now this package is a bit weird, but I have to disclose this up front. So they didn't originally have any 360 mil rads to send. They were selling like hotcakes, and then they couldn't send one for the build. But then they found one last minute. It's pretty thick, but I think we're gonna go with just a single radiator here anyway, so the thicker the better, although there is a form of diminishing returns involved with the thickness of the rad. This should be plenty for a single CPU, single GPU array. I'm excited to put this thing in. This is a silicone insert, important for bending tubes. This is a flow indicator. That's pretty cool. So this actually has two built-in G-quarter fittings, and it's like an all-acrylic package, which is pretty sweet. So you can see everything kind of flowing inside there. We'll definitely implement this somewhere. These fittings are super cool. So you can rotate like each section of these fittings to kind of fit where you need it to go. That's why they call them fittings, right? Oh, apparently I ordered a bunch of stuff for the reservoir and pump. We'll see. The more the better, just in case something doesn't work out, we'll be all right there. Here is our tubing. Again, the more the better. We can afford to make some mistakes. This isn't very much tubing, but it should be okay. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo. More fittings. These look like, these are just G-quarter inner to G-quarter outer fittings. That's nice. Again, in the deluxe white color. You can find all these parts linked in the description if you're interested in building something similar. But these look really good. All right, so these are the components we will try to throw into the build today in this part of the series. May even get a few of the bends finished. But I want to say something in reference to the comment that I pinned in the last part of this series. That GTX 1070 down there, yeah, that one there, we'll not be using that. We will be using a Gigabyte card, not a Hall of Fame card. They couldn't deliver one. So Gigabyte is pulling through here. They're sending a GTX 1080 Ti. It's this one. That's what it looks like. But I think it's gonna look super sweet in there. Not only because the shroud is white, but also because if you notice, or attention to detail, because I didn't talk about this in the last video, Team Group is sending another kit of their 16 gig Nighthawk RGB RAM to go into these two slots over here. So we'll have white and then a little bit of orange in it. And actually, the card has a bit of orange in it. So it's gonna work all around because, look, Be Quiet also has a hint of orange in their logo. So super sweet how that worked out. Very grateful to Gigabyte for pulling through at the last minute. Also means we're not going to have to water cool the graphics card, and we'll still get to stay relatively safe with our color scheme. So it's going to work out really nice, and it'll make things a bit less stressful on my end because I have to ship this thing out like in 3 days. So we're going to be cramming last minute. But let's go ahead and start throwing these components into the rig. Real quick though, something I want to point out, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how tiny these fittings are. Usually you want like fittings to be kind of just on the DL, right? Because these are white though, they're going to stand in with the rest of the components in the build. This is a nice paint job here. These actually remind me of Primo Chill's revolver fittings quite a bit. They're just considerably smaller. So if you're looking for a standard sized small fitting, this one right here from Bits Power might be for you. Alright, well, your boy feels pretty stupid. So I was going through all these just super jank mounting solutions to get this reservoir fitted properly to the case or to the radiator because, well, there's going to be a lot of weight in here and you want to make sure that it's properly secured. So I was Velcroing, tie strap, like zip tying, like this is just super jank. I don't recommend doing this, but this is all I thought I could do, at least for the time being, because I'm really in a time crunch here. But I ended up finding this universal mounting kit. Perfect. So there are little tiny holes at the back of the radiator. We can screw through here on the narrow side, and then the wide sides mount to a 120 mil fan frame. So perfect. I can't believe I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to get this thing to work. So I've got a plan here. This is going to be our drain valve, and what I'm going to do, because the radiator is mounted to the front, which is going to make it difficult for fluid to drain down, right, because the ports on the rad are up top, I'm instead going to have it run to the back like this. I'll cut a small hole out in the grill here. Should be nice and easy to do. And that way you can have the tube running up and down, and we can turn the PC basically on its side. We can just rotate it to where the back of the PC is facing down, and then all the fluid from above should be able to drain through this port. Alright, well, I'm going to call it quits for the day. We'll finish up the tubing runs in part 3. A few things I want to talk about. I'll also discuss what I have planned for where the tubes are going to run. The first thing here, this isn't actually properly mounted, and that's just because the reservoir is a bit longer than the distance from like the 120 mil fan mount down here and the 120 mil mount up here. So it's screwed in up here, but I'm going to have to use some adhesive on the bottom. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. Something else I want to showcase, this little drain port here that I have mounted to the back grill actually turned out pretty nice. So we're basically using tension here to keep these things nice and tight. So they're very sturdy, and all we're doing is just screwing one fitting on one side into the drain port on the other side, and they're just kind of holding each other in place. So again, very sturdy. I love being able to manipulate the grill on the back of the case for stuff like this. I've done graphics card mounts vertically on this as well. Very, very supportive, and it's nice to be able to utilize that for things other than just mounting graphics cards. So there you go. There's something you can do if you want to just rotate your case on its backside and drain your PC that way. You can certainly do that. Now the runs. This is where things get complicated. All right, so I've got the camera mounted on a tripod so you can see how everything's going to work. The pump is down here, utilizing this little cutout that Hassan built into the PSU shroud for the Darkbase Pro 900. You can buy this at v1tech.com if you're interested. So we have an in port and an out port. Obviously, you want the pump to, well, not the pump to feed the reservoir, but the reservoir to feed the pump. So we want this lead here on the reservoir to directly run into the intake port on the pump. That way when we fill our reservoir up, we can let it drain all the way down and get that fluid cycling through, because you don't want your pump running on air. That's how you destroy it. So we'll have a flow meter, I think, right here in between. Maybe we'll have it on this side. I don't know yet. But we'll have a flow meter somewhere on the bottom just to kind of make things a little spicier. I think this looks pretty cool, by the way. And then from here, we're going to have it come out, and it's going to go into this port. It's going to go from this port probably up and over into the CPU block. And then from here, we're going to have it feed the radiator. So the radiator run's going to go more than likely forward and then across, and then probably up again just a little bit, and then running into this front port. And then it's going to drain through the radiator, and then out the back port, we're going to have it kind of swing around like we did in our previous build, and enter the reservoir from the top. We're not cooling the graphics card, remember, because we're getting a gigabyte card. I'll just kind of like do a little makeshift Photoshop work here. Yeah, that's what it should roughly look like. And again, we have these orange accents on the RAM and the orange accents in the Be Quiet fans, because the Be Quiet logo is part orange. So it's all going to work really nicely. And by the way, I think for the fluid color choice, we're going to go with orange, something along this color scheme here. I think that's really cool, white and orange. You don't see too many of those builds out there, so this should spice it up just a bit more. I've had a lot of fun building this case thus far. It's plenty of space in there to pretty much do whatever you want. So we're going to get creative. It's not going to be just a run-of-the-mill custom loop. And I think that the all-white color scheme is going to look really good with some orange fluid in it. Just makes the orange pop that much more if we throw some white LEDs in there as well. Not too much though, we don't want to overkill it. So stay tuned for part 3. It will be coming within the next day or so, because I do need to ship this PC by like the 20th to LA, and from there it will be shipped to Vegas for CES to be featured in the Be Quiet suite, which is really cool. I'm super excited about that. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thumbs down for the opposite. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more content like this. This is Science Studio. Thanks for building with us.